Hey everybody, Tiffany here on Bewitching.Bemused. Today we are going to carry on with the rune series, just a little additional video for the runes. And I'm going to teach you a little bit about bind runes. Alrighty, so what are bind runes and how do you make them? Bind runes are essentially two or more runes that are combined into a single rune or image. When it comes to their use in magic, they were mostly used in Iceland for talismans, but they were also used elsewhere, whether for ornamental purposes, decorations, or to sign a craft person's name. One powerful and popular bind rune that you probably know of is the Helm of Awe, used for victory and protection. And there's another bind rune that's less magical that you probably see on a very regular basis. It is a combination of Berkano and Hagalaz, or, in this form, it would be referred to as Haggle. And that bind rune is, that's the Bluetooth symbol. Now, this wasn't created in order to manifest an intention, at least as far as Bluetooth is saying. It was created using initials, but it's still a fun fact. It's still the use of a bind rune, and if you're actually curious for a little bit more information, there is a link down below directly to the Bluetooth website and where they talk about the history behind it, the history behind the name Bluetooth. Okay, so when you are creating a bind rune in order to help you manifest an intention, you are basically taking the meaning of those two or more runes and you are combining them. So you can use them in rune spells, for warding, for talismans or amulets. Draw it on your body, get a tattoo of it. The possibilities are endless. I know I'm going to get questions in the comments saying, can I do blank with a bind rune? Because I get that question a lot on my sigils video. So my blanket answer is yes. Feel free to still ask questions in the comments below, but if you're wondering, can I draw this on a window? Can I draw this on my shoe? Can I put it in my phone case? Just yes. Today I'm going to use Gabo as well as Wunyo or Wunjo, depending on how you like to pronounce it, as an example. And I actually saw the example of this bind rune in Diana Paxson's book, Taking Up the Runes, and I just absolutely love it. So the simplified meaning of Gabo is gift, and the simplified meaning of Wunyo is joy. So this bind rune, combining those two, would be giving the gift of joy. This is the perfect kind of rune that you would want to use on somebody else. A friend of mine has been pretty down lately, and her birthday actually just passed. So what I ended up doing was when I mailed her a gift, I included a card, and I actually drew this bind rune in the card because I wanted to help manifest joy in her life, and I wanted to give her that gift. This is also something that would work excellent in something like a wedding card or even like a get well soon card, although for get well soon you might also want to include like a healing rune in there. Again, the possibilities are endless. Also, I really apologize for all of my drawings that are popping up here on the screen because my hands are really unsteady today, so yeah, a little bit of sloppy drawing on my part. When it comes to selecting your runes, please just make sure to take the time to actually study them. The runes are really powerful and their meanings go a lot more in depth than what you're gonna get out of just a quick little Google search or even, the little pamphlet that comes with most rune sets. If you're not familiar with the meanings, I did put together a playlist of bite-sized videos to just get you started. You can check that out right up there, or it's in the description box down below. And that's just a starter. There are a lot of other YouTube channels that just mainly focus on the runes and Norse mythology, and they go a lot, way more into depth with these than I do. There's also some wonderful books out there on the subject. One of them I already mentioned was Taking Up the Runes by Diana Paxson. So I urge you to do your research before just jumping right in hey, this sounds fun. So they're very, very complex. So in my example of combining Gabo and Wunyo, the runes, as you can see, are overlapped. One is drawn right over the other, but another way that you can do this is to sort of stack them and have them all share the same stave. Here's a couple of examples of that. Or you can create a radial, a circular bind rune like this one, where they're connected at the same center point. It's really up to you and your creative inclination and your intention, as well as which runes you're using, because some of them fit together in different patterns better than others, so, you know. Now, I recommend that when you get started, just start off easy, 2 runes at a time. Once you get a little more practice in, you get a little more used to it, then you can throw 3, 4, 5 in there. And when you're designing it, okay, definitely do this on scratch paper first. And definitely double check for any unintentional extra runes or symbols that you're drawing in there. You may find that the way that you happen to overlap them or lay them out did put in an additional unintentional rune whose meaning may not really work for your intention, so just something to keep an eye out for. My best advice, as always, is to really just get creative with these. Here's my example one more time. Now, I'll be honest, like I said, this was something I got out of a book. I did not design it myself, which if somebody else's bind rune speaks to you, there's absolutely nothing wrong. It doesn't quite work the same way as sigils, whereas with sigils, I totally recommend that you design your own. Bind runes are a little bit different. So taking a look at this example, you can see that Wunyo is repeated over and over again. It also kind of reminds me of the shape of a windmill, and so now that's why I really liked it. That really drew me to it because it had this extra layer of symbolism to it with the way it was designed. It just made me think of this windmill constantly turning and just churning out joy, 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 joy. It also reminds me a bit of some versions of the solar wheel, which I really liked because it felt like, here's my gift to you. I'm sending you joy and shining the light of the sun, the joy of the sun into your life. So if you can add that extra layer of symbolism, you know, I highly encourage you to do so. I know myself, like when I'm designing bind runes, I'm not always quite that creative on my own. Like I said, I got this from a book. It just doesn't always work out in the designing stages. So it, you know, again, it's really up to you. Just get creative, have fun with it, and just do what works. When you are picking out the material that you are going to actually like officially etch this into, there's a couple things I want you to keep in mind. And that is the function of this bind rune, how long you want it to last. Are you going to carry it with you? Are you going to hang it up somewhere? And again, how you can further symbolize your intention with the materials that you are using. So if this is just a one-off and you are going to create a bind rune that you are going to use in combination with candle magic, you know, then cool, you're gonna carve it straight into the candle, or you're going to draw it on something and, you know, piece of paper and burn that piece of paper. Easy, no big deal. As far as your intention goes, you'll probably have either that piece of paper or your ink or your candle in a color correspondence that works for your intention. Again, cool, easy, and you're adding extra symbolism in there. But let's say you're going to make one in order to protect your home or protect your space. You're gonna want something that can last a little bit longer. Probably something permanent that you can actually keep in or on or near your house. So in that case, you might want to do something like draw it in permanent marker on your window, or even carve or, you know, burn etch it into a piece of wood and hang that on your front door. Wood is great because wood symbolizes home already, so you have that connection. It's also nice and sturdy. It's gonna last for a long time, especially if you etch or carve it directly into the wood as opposed to drawing or painting it on. Wood can also be used as a shield. It's great for insulation, so you have your protection symbolism there. You can even go all out and use a specific type of wood to correspond with protection. You can also paint it on a red brick, which is a wonderful option because red ochre is also often used for protection and for warding. I have a whole video on that right there. So again, it's always great to fit the symbolism in where you can, and at the same time also consider, you know, being practical. If you want one for protection that you want to keep on your person, a red brick may not be the best option, but maybe painting it onto something like a tiger's eye palm stone would work for that. Okay, so after you've designed it, you've picked out your material, you are actually going to inscribe it on that material, whether that is drawing, carving, burning, painting, whatever. This is probably the most important step in the process. You want to do this with intention. As you are drawing your bind rune, I want you to think about what each of these individual runes represent, what they mean when combined together, and how they are going to help you manifest your intention. focus on that and visualize it. I also encourage you to speak the name of the rune out loud as you are inscribing it. I like to sort of hum it out so I can feel it reverberating in my face, in my throat, and in my chest. You can sing it, you can chant it repeatedly. Again, it's up to you. It's just a really good way to help you bring that rune to life, empower it, and connect with it. Now, although your runes are going to connect, and in some cases, some of your lines are going to overlap, you want to draw each one individually, even if that means going back over that line. As you can see, even though I've already drawn Gabo, I'm still going back over with every Wunyo and drawing that stave. When you're done, just take a moment, hold your bind rune, or, touch it in some way if it's on something like a big item, and just meditate. And again, visualize this bind rune coming to life for you, manifesting your intention for you. You can ask deity to bless it if you like, but if you don't work with deity, totally not necessary. At that point, use it however it's intended, and that's it. All right, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. That is all I have for now, but like I said, there's still more that I can cover on the runes, and those will be coming out, over time in the future. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. If you go out and you create a bind rune or you've made one before, I'd love to see them. You don't have to give specifics on what you were using it for if you don't want to. You don't have to share a bunch of personal stuff. But I would love it if you would post pictures of those on Instagram and make sure to tag me. All right, everybody, I will see you on Sunday, and in the meantime, stay magical.